have a question. How many of you are still trying to get it together? You're still trying to get this project started, or you're having trouble actually leaving the summertime, the relaxed phase of summer, if some of you take time off, and you're just kind of struggling to get back into the game. I know what it is. You've been wanting to do all these things, but you haven't started anything because you're distracted. You know why you're distracted? Because you're paying attention to everything else. It's difficult. I get it. I'm the same way. You've heard the phrase, take your blinders off, but have you ever considered that really you need to keep your blinders on? Now, let me say, if you're in a situation where there's an emergency, let's say your neighbor's house is on fire, something's happening that is urgent, pay attention. I'm not talking about those types of situations. I'm talking about keeping yourself from being distracted. There are so many things that can distract us. Listen, I can raise both of my hands, raise my legs to just let you know how distracted I can get. If you have really been thinking, I wish I could get this project off the ground. I'd love to start a business, but so many other things are getting in the way all the time. It probably means that you need to evaluate. I am going to encourage you today to really take an examination of what's going on, so that if your purpose is to start a new project, write out plans for this business that you've always wanted to do, whatever it might be, anything that you can conceive, you'll be able to get the process started. But that is going to require you to keep your blinders on. What I am encouraging you to do is to block out all of the distractions that you have control over. Life requires our attention. You may have a full-time job that you're trying to maybe wrap up, or you'd like to do something else, but you still need to be a viable employee and do what you need to do and stay focused. So you need to keep that job. So that's not a distraction. That's what you need to be doing. If you have responsibilities to care for children, your children, or maybe a family member or a friend who is ill, we won't call that a distraction. That is a life responsibility. If you were to sit and think now, what distracts you? What are the things that you're doing that takes your focus? It could be something as simple as perusing social media too long. I know for myself, I enjoy looking at social media. I enjoy looking at YouTube. Hopefully you enjoy it as well, because you're watching this YouTube video today. But it is easy to be on these things for hours and hours, and sometimes unintended. That's what I would consider a distraction. So in order to be able to eliminate those things, you have to pay attention. Now, if there's nothing that you have a goal to get done, it might not matter that much. But if you find yourself complaining about not finishing a project, or not starting a project, or not being able to get something done, it might be that you've allowed yourself to get distracted. And let me tell you a secret. Oftentimes, distractions are actually fear. Fear of failure or fear of success. So there are many of us, and I'll include myself in that, where there have been times in my life where I've actually avoided starting something because I thought maybe it won't work out. Or if I start it, what will I do if it's actually successful? And then I have to continue doing what I'm doing. So there are a number of reasons, and fear could be one of those reasons why people allow themselves to be distracted. If you have been feeling like you're not making progress, you probably need to think about what distractions have been hindering you so that you can keep your blinders on. The first step would be to figure out what distractions are hindering you. Is it looking at too many videos at one time and finding that 3, 4, 5 hours have passed? Maybe that's a distraction for you. The second thing would be the lack of intentionality. When I say lack of intentionality, I mean not actually being firm about what you're deciding to do. If you're not setting a firm intention, writing out the goal, being intentional about what you are wanting to do, that can be a distraction. If I am not intentional in what I'm doing, my mind's everywhere. The third thing is to focus on one major thing at a time. Again, I'm not talking about the daily things that we need to do in our lives, like caregiving, like going to work, the things that we have to do to maintain our households. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about trying to do too many projects at one time. I don't really believe that multitasking is something that is effective, meaning that, speaking from experience, I don't believe that I'm able to be excellent in everything that I present when I'm doing too many things. It's usually passable and really very, very good. And some people might think that everything I do is excellent. Thank you. But the reality is if I'm doing too many things at one time, I don't feel like I'm putting my best foot forward. And that might be your story as well. And so the third thing definitely is to make sure that you're not doing too many things at one time, because it's difficult to present in an excellent way if you're trying to focus on too many things at one time. Focus on what's priority. If it's something that you want to do, for instance, let's say to create another stream of income, what is going to give you the least path of resistance? What can you do that you can do well and more quickly? And if it's something that you're creating to be, let's say, passive income, or something that you can create that would just exist in a space, and it would be what we would consider evergreen. It's just there and it's making money and you may update infrequently, then that might be your first stop. But just focus on one thing so that you can package that excellently or complete that fully and then move on to the next project. If you're not firm about what you want to do, then you may possibly do nothing. There's a phrase that I've heard before, and you probably have as well. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. There are things that you might do that you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants, or it just seems like happenstance helped the thing be successful. But 9 times out of 10, planning is very, very important. I find more success when I actually physically write my plans out, even compared to typing them in my digital device. Now, yes, of course, I use the notes in my phone. I type things out on my computer, but I just find for some reason that writing things down is more lasting for me. And there's evidence that actually shows that when you write things down, you're more apt to remember them. So I encourage you to write out your plan, write out steps that it will take for you to get to this thing, write out the resources that you might need or the people who would be useful or helpful in you completing this project or this task or opening this business. Write it down. Set up a realistic timeline to complete your project. Realistic is the operative word here. If you're building, let's say, a brand new storefront, unless you've done this before, you likely won't be able to do it in 30 days. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, possibly not 30 days. So your expectations for yourself and your timeline need to be realistic. This is going to help you avoid disappointment. This is going to help you avoid having to redo things or restart. Just have a realistic timeline for yourself. And if you have no idea how long something, whatever you're trying to do, might take, do a little research to get an idea of how long your project might take. Have an accountability partner. You don't need to tell the world, for instance, what you're doing, unless that helps you to be motivated. Some people find that when they make announcements, let's say on Facebook about doing a certain thing, and I'll be checking in, that encouragement that they get from other people or the comments they get from other people oftentimes can fuel them to get it done. So if you're that person, by all means, use that platform. But often you just need one person or two people who can keep you accountable. And I would also say, if there are really fine, critical details that don't need to be released, for instance, like maybe financial details or otherwise, I would definitely say you don't need everybody to know those things. But make sure that you have someone that you're sharing your ideas with. You might be in some type of mastermind or inner circle type group. You let those people know if you're comfortable, but you need someone that can serve as an accountability person. And then when you actually complete the thing, they can be a witness to attest to what you said you were going to do and you actually completed it. And I think this is one of the most important things, is to take breaks when you need them. We all need downtime. We all need quiet time. No one can go for 24/7 without a break. And the reality is, oftentimes your body and your mind will shut you down if you don't. So when you're writing out your plan, make sure you also include time for breaks. This could be, if you know that it's going to take 2 months of dedicated time, this could be, for instance, maybe once a week. You don't look at the project, you don't do anything on it at all. This might, if it's a shorter project, this might be giving yourself, let's say it's only going to take you a week, then maybe every day you spend 2 hours doing something that's not that project. I'm just simply saying, give yourself time to take a break. Burnout is real, even for a project that you're really enjoying. And if you burn out, your energy, your zeal, your interest in that thing is going to decrease, and you may not be able to reach your goal. I believe that you're going to reach your goal. You're going to complete the project. You're going to open the business. You're going to do that thing that you've always dreamed of. But please remember, keep your blinders on. Eliminate those distractions. Get your rest. Take your breaks, and you'll get it done. Hopefully you've heard something that will encourage you to stay focused. Thank you so much for listening today, and I look forward to sharing some more tips and tidbits with you. Have a good day.